The snow was still falling when they shut the door on my face. Inside I heard laughter, music, clinking glasses. My hands trembled around the cheap gift bag I'd spent my last $20 on. Through the frosted window, I watched my mother lift a toast. To family. I turned away. Her name was Elena Hartley, 28 years old, born and raised in a sleepy suburb just outside Chicago. One of those neighborhoods where the porch lights stayed on and the neighbors knew your dog's name. Growing up, she was the golden girl. Bright. Kind. The kind who stayed after school to help clean up the art room and remembered everyone's birthdays without needing Facebook reminders. But life had a way of dimming even the warmest lights. By fall, everything had unraveled. Her job at the publishing firm gone, thanks to a strategic restructuring. Her savings? Eaten alive by overdue rent and medical bills she hadn't told anyone about. The fridge buzzed more than it fed. Most nights dinner was toast. Sometimes just tea. But Elena believed in Christmas. Not the tinsel or the sales or the fake Santa at the mall, but the version her childhood heart still clung to. Cracked ornaments. Hot cocoa burned at the bottom. Her dad's scratchy voice reading The Night Before Christmas, even when they were too old for it. So when December came, she packed her thrifted coat, wrapped the only gift she could afford, an old photo of her and her sister from their first Christmas, and caught the first bus back home. Snowflakes melted in her hair as she stood on the front porch, suitcase in hand, heart pounding with hope. She rang the bell. Nothing. She rang again. This time she heard voices, laughter, music, clinking glasses. Then a hush. Footsteps. The door creaked open just enough to show her mother's sharp-lined face. She wore pearls, lipstick, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Elena," she said flatly, as if her name tasted bitter. Then came the words that would split her soul. "We don't need your drama, Elena. You're always making things difficult." Inside, the tree glowed. People clapped as her younger sister Madeline stepped forward, 8 months pregnant, glowing, cradled by family like a prized heirloom. Elena caught a glimpse of the guest list taped on the hallway mirror. Her name was crossed out in red. Madeline's name had been added in cursive glitter ink. No one asked her to come in. No one offered her a coat, a plate, a seat. "Elena, honey," her father said softly from behind the crowd. "Maybe next year, okay?" They weren't angry. That would have been easier. They were embarrassed. Embarrassed by her failure, her clothes, her empty hands. She turned without a word. The snow seemed colder on the way back. She sat at the bus stop bench for 2 hours, watching happy families pass by with shopping bags and scarves and too much joy. No one called. No one texted. They had cut her out of Christmas like a smudge on a perfect photo. The betrayal didn't come with screaming or slammed doors. Didn't need to. It came in hushed tones and forced smiles. In the way her mother looked past her. In how her father let the door close. In Madeline's smug, victorious grin. Like she had finally won whatever quiet war they were fighting. That night, Elena returned to her apartment, where the heat barely worked and the walls echoed. She stared at the photo she meant to give. 2 little girls in matching reindeer pajamas, their cheeks red from laughter. She slid it back in her bag. Christmas for Elena was over. But something else began in its place. A silence. A seed. A vow. They thought they had shut her out forever. What they didn't know was that you can only exile someone for so long, before they start building kingdoms of their own. And Elena? She was about to rise. But not with forgiveness. With fire. The day after Christmas, Elena didn't cry. Not at first. She just lay still on a worn-out couch in her friend Gina's apartment, staring at the ceiling like it might offer answers. It didn't. Gina was kind, too kind. She pretended not to notice that Elena hadn't eaten dinner. That she folded her clothes too neatly, like a guest who didn't want to be a burden. But guests aren't meant to stay long. By the 4th night, Elena could feel the tension, even if no one said it. So she left. With her single suitcase, a box of resumes, and a blanket. Her car became her new apartment. She parked 2 blocks from the lake, pretending she liked the view. But it was the only place she could sleep without worrying about being ticketed, or worse. No one from her family called. Not even her dad, who used to leave her notes in her lunchbox. On New Year's Eve, Madeline posted a glowing photo in front of a firelit cabin, surrounded by cousins and wine. Her caption read, Sparkles blessed with the best. Couldn't ask for more. Baby Hartley coming soon, 2 hearts. The comments flooded in hearts, congratulations, admiration. Elena stared at it from the back seat of her car, parked outside a 24-hour laundromat, wrapped in 2 coats in silence. She didn't like who she was becoming. Empty. Flat. Like someone living life underwater. Everything muted, everything slow. She applied for every job she could find. Retail. Reception. Even a warehouse night shift. Nothing. Too many applicants. Not enough experience. We'll let you know. Then finally, a cafe on the edge of town hired her. $7.50 an hour, no benefits, long hours, and burnt fingers from espresso machines that hadn't been cleaned in months. But it was something. She learned to smile through it. To say, "Have a great day," with just enough energy to sound convincing. Until one afternoon, slow shift, storm clouds outside. Her Aunt Lisa walked in. Same aunt who used to send her birthday cards stuffed with $5 bills. Same aunt who danced with her at Madeline's Sweet 16. Their eyes met. Elena froze. Lisa looked down. Ordered a soy latte. Didn't say a word. Elena rang her up like any stranger. No eye contact. No recognition. The drink sat on the counter for 5 minutes before Lisa took it and left. No tip. No goodbye. Elena stood there after. Hands trembling from something colder than coffee. Not rage. Not sadness. Just vacancy. That night, she sat in the back room during her break and opened the family group chat. A thread of messages, baby updates, wedding plans, vacation photos. She scrolled. Scrolled past the image of Madeline in her new SUV. Scrolled past her mother's dinner party centerpiece. Scrolled past her father's proud of my girls selfie, with only one daughter in the frame. No one had messaged her in weeks. She typed one message. A red heart. Simple. Quiet. A last chance. She waited. 1 hour. Then 2. No reply. Not even a seen receipt. The next day she left the chat. She stopped explaining. Stopped defending her absence. Stopped trying to be the good daughter, the good sister, the forgotten niece. From that moment, Elena Hartley became a ghost in their world. Invisible, unspoken, erased. But ghosts remember. Ghosts wait. And this ghost was far from finished. Elena didn't scream. Didn't call them out. Didn't write some long bleeding message demanding answers. She just got quiet. Dangerously quiet. There's a particular kind of strength that comes from being dismissed. A cold, focused strength. The kind that doesn't seek revenge right away. Because it's too busy becoming something unforgettable. She still worked at the cafe. Still smiled, still swept the floors at close. But in the silence of her breaks, she started sketching. On napkins. Receipts. Her own palm when paper ran out. Brand ideas. Logo shapes. Campaign lines. And one rainy afternoon, a man in a tailored coat noticed. He leaned across the counter, holding a lukewarm cappuccino, and tapped the napkin beneath her pen. You ever thought about corporate branding? Elena blinked. I know, not really. Just doodling. That's not doodling. That's a whole concept. He handed her his card. Julian Webb, founder of a boutique design startup across town. A week later, she was in his office. Not as a designer yet, but as his personal assistant. She made his schedules, took his calls, fetched his coffees. And while the world thought she was just another girl in heels and post-its, Elena was watching everything. She took night classes at a community college. Graphic design, digital marketing, UX theory, branding psychology. Every evening, she sat in the back with bloodshot eyes, laptop open, taking notes faster than the professor could speak. For hours of sleep, no social life, no distractions, and no messages from her family. A year passed. Then 2. Julian's company grew, and Elena grew with it. First, she became a junior designer, then senior, then creative director, pitching billion-dollar visions in glass-walled rooms with views of downtown. 3 years in, she bought out one of the partners. 4 years in, she opened her own agency, Hartley & Company. Sleek, fearless, female-run. Clients lined up across the country. Campaigns exploded across social media, on billboards, in Super Bowl ads. She became the name whispered in high-rise boardrooms. The ghost her family thought they buried. And one day, a client pitch landed on her desk. Phoenix Tech. Her father's company. The same job he used to brag about. The job he always said Elena wasn't polished enough to work at. The brief was basic. Rebranding the company's public image after a failed merger. But Elena didn't see a brief. She saw a lever. She delivered a pitch so flawless, Phoenix Tech begged for a contract before she even left the room. They never knew the woman behind the agency shared the same last name as one of their senior execs. While she built empires, her family stayed busy too. Madeline had a second baby. Another shower. Another flood of gifts. Photos littered the internet. Sparkly onesies, monogrammed booties, custom cookies. But behind the filters, things cracked. Her parents started GoFundMe pages. Medical bills. Job cuts. Mortgage delays. Her father had been phased out from Phoenix Tech, part of the same restructuring Elena's agency orchestrated. Her mother posted inspirational quotes about hard times building character. Elena watched. But not with anger anymore. She watched with precision. Because what her family hadn't realized was that Elena no longer wanted a seat at their table. She was building her own kingdom, with her own rules. And when the moment came, she wouldn't need to knock. She'd own the house they used to lock her out of. And every door in it. December 23rd. It was snowing again, thick, soft flakes like the ones from her childhood. Elena stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of her downtown penthouse office, watching the city blur into white. Her desk was spotless. On it, a single email pinged in. Subject: Phoenix Tech Public Announcement. Executive Realignment. Attached: a press release with her name printed in bold. Elena Hartley, Head of Global Branding, Phoenix Tech. It was official. The same company that once let her father retire early now had his daughter at the helm of their image worldwide. She didn't smile. Didn't flinch. Just clicked the file closed and turned off her screen. That night, just after 9 p.m., her phone buzzed with a notification from an unfamiliar number. A photo. Her family's living room warm, golden lights, the fireplace roaring. Text: we hope you can make it this year, Elena. We miss you. Mom. Below that, another message from her sister. It would mean a lot if you came. The kids ask about you. She stared at the screen. They had deleted her from one Christmas. Now they were summoning her. They didn't miss her. They missed what she had become. She didn't reply. She just made a call. Christmas Eve, 7:04 p.m. Suburbia. A sleek black SUV pulled up to the same house where Elena once stood with frostbitten fingers and a bleeding heart. But this time she wasn't alone. Behind her, two more luxury vehicles parked. Out stepped the new Phoenix Tech CEO, Chief Legal Officer, and two VPs. All in tailored coats, shaking snow from their collars, eyes scanning the house with quiet interest. Inside, laughter echoed. Cranberry punch clinked in glasses. Madeline posed by the tree in a velvet dress, balancing her newborn in one arm and a glass of wine in the other. Then the door opened. Silence. The air seemed to freeze. As if time hiccuped. Elena stepped in. All black. Wool coat, leather gloves, hair slicked back. Power carved into every line of her posture. Behind her, Phoenix Tech's top brass followed like shadows. Madeline's wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the hardwood floor. Their mother blinked. Their father's jaw went slack. No one moved. No one breathed. Then, from behind Elena, the CEO stepped forward. He scanned the stunned room, then turned to her father. You didn't tell me your daughter was this Elena Hartley. The words fell like a hammer. Elena's father looked between the CEO and his daughter, who now controlled the narrative of the company he once gave his life to. Her mother stammered something about cookies in the oven. Madeline reached for a towel she didn't need. Elena walked forward slowly. No hugs. No greetings. Just her presence. A living, breathing reminder of what they discarded, and what she rebuilt without them. You said I was difficult, Elena said softly, looking her mother in the eye. Turns out, difficult women make powerful ones. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. She turned to the CEO, calm and composed. They used to worry I'd embarrass them. Now they serve my coffee. The Phoenix Tech execs chuckled politely. Her father tried to speak, but she'd already moved on. One of the children tugged at her coat, Madeline's oldest. Eyes wide, curious. Are you famous? Elena knelt. No, sweetheart, she whispered with a smile. I'm just unforgettable. She stood, nodded once to the stunned room, and walked out into the cold, where her world waited. This was no reunion. It was a reckoning. By the end of the night, the house smelled like desperation wrapped in cinnamon. The fire had died down, and so had the illusion. Elena didn't touch the food, didn't take off her coat, didn't stay long. She had said everything she needed to without a single raised word. Her mother followed her to the door with a container of sweet potato casserole. For the road, she offered, voice too sweet, eyes too calculating, like the smell of cookies trying to cover smoke. Her sister trailed behind, baby on her hip, fake humility in her voice. If your agency has internships, or remote roles maybe, I could use a few extra dollars, you know. She laughed like it was a joke. Elena didn't laugh back. And her father, once the man who wore power like a second skin, stood by the fireplace trying to spark stories of old. Remember the camping trip, Lena? You caught that fish with your bare hands. She looked at him then. Really looked. He was smaller than she remembered. Not in height, but in presence. She simply nodded and said, that was before you taught me to be invisible. He had no reply. Just a slow blink, and then a shameful glance at the floor. She walked out without saying goodbye. The consequences arrived without fanfare. 6 weeks later, Phoenix Tech announced a new restructuring initiative. Strategic downsizing. Focused optimization. Her father's name was on the internal memo. Retired early. Again. This time with no fanfare. No gold watch. No company-wide email. He didn't even call her. Madeline, freshly unemployed after her latest side hustle flopped, sent an email to Hartley & Company with the subject line, small favor. It was flagged. Never opened. Moved silently to archive. 2 days later, a formal loan application with her name on it was declined by a firm affiliated with one of Elena's partner banks. She never reapplied. Their mother, still craving the social currency of family perfection, posted a group photo online. Everyone in matching sweaters. Fireplace lit. Casserole in the center of the table like a trophy. Elena wasn't in it. But the internet noticed. In the comments, where's the Forbes girl? Isn't your daughter Elena Hartley? Saw her on a panel last week. Wait, isn't that her agency behind the new Nike campaign? Didn't she buy that old theater on West Avenue? Wow, you must be so proud. Her mother never replied. She just turned off the comments. Back in the city, Elena didn't frame the Forbes article. Didn't repost the panel she spoke on. Didn't mention Phoenix Tech in interviews. She didn't need to. She had rewritten her story. Not for validation but for herself. Her empire wasn't built on revenge. It was built on clarity. On knowing exactly who she was when no one clapped, when no one believed. She no longer sought her family's love. She had outgrown their version of it. And while they scrambled for scraps of the woman they once discarded, Elena dined at tables where her name was spoken with awe. Her silence had become her sharpest weapon. Because the loudest revenge is thriving without permission. Elena didn't slam doors. She opened new ones quietly, powerfully. She moved into a lakeside loft where the mornings whispered peace and the nights reflected possibility. She built a team of women like her, brilliant, bruised, but never broken. Women the world once called too much or not enough. The following Christmas, she sent one card to her family. White, elegant, blank inside. No return address. No explanation. Because some stories don't need revenge speeches. They just need success. And silence that roars louder than any apology ever could. She never looked back. Only forward, toward the life they never believed she could build. And if someone ever shuts a door on you, make sure it echoes when you open your own. Belle loved Elena's journey. Let it fuel your own. Thumbs up like the story. Speech balloon, drop a comment about the door you're ready to open. Repeat button, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Because sometimes your silence isn't weakness. It's the start of your empire.